nurse coaching is the only thing that is standing in direct and total opposition to the current broken model of healthcare. Another huge milestone is launching the brand new, most updated, most impactful, most flexible, and critically the most affordable nurse coach program on the planet.
Nurses, nurse coaches, welcome back to the Nurse Coach Collective podcast. I'm Heather.
And I'm Peter.
And today we are so stoked to be celebrating a huge milestone because we have officially crossed the mark of having trained 4,000 nurses in the art and science of nurse coaching.
Ooh, that's a lot of nurse coaches out there. So excited to be talking about this today. And we're also going to be talking about another huge milestone, which is launching the brand new, most updated, the most impactful, the most flexible, and critically the most affordable nurse coach program on the planet, the best version of it that we've ever created. We're launching that here today. And so these are just two huge milestones that really go hand in hand also with the current state of healthcare. Super excited to be able to talk about this with you here today, Heather.
So we have a lot to celebrate and we have a lot to unpack. Let's dive in.
So 4,000 nurse coaches trained over the past few years. Woo! Boom. Yeah, let's go. That's a pretty big deal. Huge deal. It feels like a really big deal for us, but also for just the entire nursing community and the entire nurse coaching community. So, we were on this graduation call last week, or maybe a week or two ago, depending on when this episode comes out. What came up for you on that call? What was it like to be surrounded by hundreds of nurses who have now become official nurse coaches? What came up for you at that call? What did it feel like? What does this mean to you to have 4,000 graduates of the Nurse Coach Collective?
Well, you know what it felt like for me because you saw me expressing some pretty big tears and emotions on that call. I mean, what comes up for me is a sense of awe and possibility and so much pride and inspiration when I look at these nurses and how much they have grown in only 6 months and how they have gone through this transformation from entering in this place of desperation, sometimes burnout, feeling stuck, and then walking through this process and every single one of them coming out on the other side feeling hopeful, feeling inspired, feeling like they've grown not just personally, but professionally, having all of these opportunities open up for them. It is nothing short of amazing. I wish every single nurse out there could witness something like these graduation calls just to see a snapshot of what these transformations are like.
It's so important to see that because it's this moment in time where we get to witness what can transpire over the course of just 6 months. That's what I always find is so dang interesting on these calls. And you mentioned this sense of awe. Where does that come from? What is this sense of awe that you experience and why?
When I first got into nursing, I entered in with an awe. I entered in with a eagerness to be part of this healing movement.
A reverence for that healing process.
Yes, I saw medicine in this different light. I put it onto this pedestal, and then very quickly inside of the nursing profession, everything I once had on a pedestal began to fall down. And I saw the system for what it really was. And I see all of these nurses having gone through that same experience. Well, that awe comes from watching every single one of these nurses get their spark back, get their passion back, because I believe that it's from that place of passion when you can reconnect to your true purpose and meaning for being a healer. That's when the magic can happen. That's when you can go out and create success in the hospital, in the clinic, in private practice, wherever you choose to go with it. It begins with getting that spark back. So I think for me, that's where that awe comes from. It's just watching these nurses who put in the work. Here it is. They put in the work and they decided to go on this journey themselves. Because what I can tell you about our course is you don't find success just by showing up every day or pushing click, click, click to fast forward through the modules. You can do that, but you won't get anything out of it. These are individuals who made the decision to show up for themselves and to be the change that they want to see in healthcare. That's what I saw. And that gives me absolute chills.
Where my sense of awe comes from on these graduation calls and then slowing down to like think about 4,000 nurse coaches out there doing this work is like, wow. Thousands and thousands of nurses are choosing to be a part of doing something different. And yeah, we have this amazing program. We have this amazing community of like-minded nurses. We have these amazing mentors, right? We have this awesome space for them to come into, but that space only gets you so far. The thing that really inspires me is that like nurses are choosing to do something radically different than the day-to-day experience of healthcare that is just absolutely broken. You know, if I were to like be only a part of that model, no wonder 90% of nurses are burnt out and considering leaving the profession, because we are trapped inside of this thing that just, man, who would want to be a part of that on the day-to-day, right? When you zoom out and you look at like, am I actually helping anybody? Am I actually doing good work in the world? Well, maybe if somebody's acutely ill, maybe if somebody just got in a car accident, maybe if somebody needs urgent medical care. But if we really zoom out and we take a hard look at our profession, we take a moment to slow down, ask and seek truth. The truth is that what we are doing on the day-to-day doesn't work anymore. 2/3 of people are chronically ill. They're on one or more prescription medication. Almost 2/3 of people are now either overweight or obese inside of the US. 90% of nurses have experienced burnout in the last year. You look at our kids and their future, start thinking about their future. It's just becoming so apparent that everything, every single aspect of the medical system needs to change. And so that's where my sense of awe comes from, is knowing that there are now thousands of graduates out there who are actively doing what I want to do, which is to be a part of that change inside of healthcare.
And every single one of those nurse coaches is not only having their life and their practice transformed, but on those calls, they share with us how that's then rippling out to their families, to their communities, to the entire population that they serve. And with 4,000 nurse coaches, when you think about how far that ripple effect can reach, that's when I start to get this feeling of the momentum. It's like I hear it. The engine is starting to chug, 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 and the momentum. And I just feel like, here we come, here we go.
The thing I've learned about momentum just through entrepreneurship is that it is finicky, you know? And so when that wave of momentum is created, it's so, so important to ride it. We're talking about this first milestone of 4,000 graduates, but there's also this other milestone that we want to talk about, which is the launching of the brand new version of the Nurse Coach Collective, of our Nurse Coach training program. You know, it was already second to none. It was already just absolutely the best place to come for continuing education, for nurse coach training. But we just spent a year of our life redoing it, upgrading it. So tell me why. Why have we invested so much into relaunching this? And yeah, also like, I guess then we can talk about it.
So I believe that while we have always had the most incredible nurse coach training, I believe that what got us here won't get us there. So if our first milestone is having trained 4,000 nurse coaches, then we are at a moment in time when, in order to rescue healthcare, in order to truly transform nursing and take it in the direction that we need it to go, our mission has just massively up-leveled to now be striving to train tens of thousands of nurse coaches, because that is when we are going to see the true impact on the large scale that we need to see it in order to create that true and lasting change. And so all of that begins with making sure that we are offering everything that is needed for our nurse coaches to have an amazing experience, enjoy every single moment of it, be more connected than ever, and have the absolute best training possible so that they can get out there and be armed with every single tool and skill and mindset they need to go shake things up, to go make change happen. Why did we spend the last year of our life deep in the work of making all the improvements on something that was already amazing? Because we knew that we could do better. And we knew that the nurse coaching program could be better. And we've poured over the reviews from thousands of our graduates, and we've pulled out all those nitty-gritty nuances of things that they asked for, and we listened.
My why is that, we were talking about this chronic disease epidemic and how it is impacting everybody. Every single person is impacted, kids, adults, older population. It is affecting everybody, and it's also affecting all of us nurses, and it's happening at such scale. It's almost impossible to comprehend. It's kind of like when you hear like, oh, they found like there's $1 trillion, right? That number is almost incomprehensible. They just throw it around all the time. And when we hear hundreds of millions of people are on prescription medications, we're just drowning them in medications full of side effects. Our bodies are being poisoned by so much food every single day. We are overworked. Our entire population is stressed to the point where there's hundreds of millions of people. You almost start to become numb to that fact, but it doesn't have to be like that. So like if there is this scale of a problem, then the scale of the solution needs to rise up to meet that. And so when I consider like, why did I spend so much of the past year of my life like just deep in the weeds of creating a new program that is better than ever, but also designed to meet the need of that problem, like the scale of that problem, like that's my why. That's my why, is because I don't believe that this problem has to exist anymore. I think it can change quickly. I think we can transform healthcare inside of America very, very fast if retrain nurses to just think differently, right? We have this old model of nursing where we are prescribing so much medication, where the entire model is based on treat and treat, where it's based on symptom management. There's this entire other way of thinking about health and healthcare that is wellness focused. It is focused on just helping people to heal, to support them to heal themselves, and to do that in a way where we nurses don't have to give in, give up, burn out. Like, it's absolutely absurd that this old model is how we're still continuing to do things when we have so many options available to us. And so this new version of the Nurse Coach program, yes, it is going to help the individual nurse, but it's also designed to, at scale, help all of nursing, the entire nursing community. Kind of want to get into the weeds a little bit about the program itself and the changes that we've made to improve it. But I think part of my ask is, for every single nurse who's listening to this to consider like helping us to grow this, because in my mind, there's no other solution that is readily apparent inside of the field of nursing where I'm like, yes, like that's the thing that's going to help. Because on those graduation calls, I'm like, how is this working, right? How does it so effective that for 4,000 graduates of our program, we've been able to see again and again and again, with almost like 95% of the nurses who go through this program, just these radical transformations in their personal life, in their relationships, in their personal health and happiness, and also in their professional life, right? They're never going to be able to go back to that old broken model. Even if they go and work inside of it, they're fighting back in these little ways, and it's just so amazing to me. And so like that is my why for putting in all this effort. And it's also part of like, holy smokes, like the nurse coaching community has given us so much. And what a cool way to give back.
You mentioned it's a retraining for nurses, like a new paradigm to step into. I also think it's about reigniting, coming back from that place of numbness that you said. I think every single nurse at one point or another has felt that feeling of beginning to feel numb to things. And so yes, the power of nurse coaching is that it gives us back our power, gives us back that spark to step into the new paradigm and to now be able to do it at scale. So there are a lot of big upgrades that we've implemented to our nurse coach training to make the experience even more incredible. Where do you want to begin?
We're relaunching the entire nurse coach training program. And this means that it is the most updated and current and most evidence-informed process to prevent, treat, and reverse 80% of chronic disease, obesity, and mild to moderate mental health issues for everybody, right? We're talking about kids, teens, adults, older adults, and our elders as well, like the entire spectrum of people. This is it's such a great tool. And so we took everything that we've learned over the past many years, we redid the entire curriculum to make it so streamlined, so evidence-informed that it's like any nurse. It doesn't matter if you've been in this work for a year or 50 years. You can learn this process over the course of just a few months. And now you have this tool to just be able to use it forever. So we redid the entire curriculum. We moved on over to a brand new upgraded platform, because what we hear in these graduation calls over and over again, it's actually rarely about the curriculum. It's actually more about the process and the community, right? So we made it very, very easy to move through the process of becoming a nurse coach. So now it's more flexible than ever before. So any nurse, doesn't matter if you're working full time, doesn't matter how big your family is, doesn't matter if you're traveling the world, whatever you're doing, the curriculum now is designed to meet you exactly where you're at and just be ridiculously flexible. And you can complete it all over the course of just 6 months, right? So we upgraded the entire curriculum. It's more flexible than ever before. And critically, I really think that this is the most critical piece, more community engagement and more engagement with your instructors. Community engagement, because like, there's something about being inside this community of like-minded nurses that just transforms everything over and over and over again. We redesigned the entire model and also all of the tech to be just very easy to engage with your community, right? That's the whole point. And you'll have even more expert mentorship, meaning like more engagement with your instructors. Like, you know, we went from monthly calls to weekly calls.
Not required weekly calls, but optional weekly calls. Yes. So every single week having that opportunity for live support, real time, meeting with your nurse coach supervisor, connecting face to face with your peers. Exactly.
And all of this is designed to just make the experience of becoming a nurse coach so fun, so engaging, so transformative that like you never even consider being able to go back to that old model again. It is just like over the span of a few months, this becomes your new operating level, like that new model of nursing where you're wellness focused, where you're focused on preventing, treating, and reversing diseases of lifestyle, where you are no longer burnt out, where your own health and happiness is absolute priority because that's how you can serve and support your communities at the highest level. That becomes your new operating software. And we get to install that through the nurse coach program. So you guys, come on in. And critically, this is the piece that really we worked hard on, which is affordability. So Heather, I want to turn this over to you because I know this has been like your absolute passion.
Yes. And that comes from having spoken to so many thousands of nurses over the years as they consider entering into this specialty. So with a completely redesigned curriculum, a completely rewritten and awesome course manual, with a community that is now ever more present, more access to live support from your nurse coach supervisors. One would think that all of that, all this work that we've put in over the last year is going to come with a tuition increase. Let me put your mind at ease right now. It does not. In fact, the opposite, because what I have found from talking to thousands of nurses over this last decade is that the number one thing that holds nurses back from stepping into this field, it is not desire. It is not passion or interest. It is not believing that this is the right fit for them or that this is the future of healthcare. They have all of that. But if there is any single thing that has stood in their way, it's finances. And so what we aim to do in order to operate at scale, in order to move beyond the 4,000 milestone.
In order to confront the magnitude of the problem of healthcare, nurse burnout, chronic disease.
Exactly, and reach towards the new milestone of tens of thousands of nurse coaches, we are actually lowering our tuition significantly to make the barrier to entry so simple so that any nurse who is craving to be a part of this community, any nurse who is passionate about holistic healing and being the change that they want to see, that all of those potential financial barriers that maybe previously existed can melt away. You alluded to this before, the Nurse Coach Collective has given us so much over the last decade. The community we've been able to be a part of, the professional growth we've been able to experience, the awe and inspiration that we carry with us every single day has been the greatest gift of our life. And the Nurse Coach Collective keeps on giving back to us freedom, fulfillment, flexibility. And so this truly is our way of giving back to the entire nursing profession. And this is our gift to be able to deliver not only the most incredible nurse coach program, but also the most affordable that we have ever been and any nurse coach program has ever been.
It's so exciting, actually. I think it's so exciting. And really is the whole point of all this work that we've been doing is like, I want you to be just a few shifts away from being able to sign up for this program. You know what I'm saying? And I want any nurse anywhere to be able to enroll in this and not have that barrier of finances be a problem anymore. And so what we've done, and I truly say this from the bottom of my heart, I have no idea if this is sustainable.
We do have a business to run, and this flip side of things is we're like, okay, let's follow our heart and let our hearts lead and see what happens.
Yeah, we are, offering like at least a 50% scholarship, which is like just a few months ago, like it would have cost twice as much to enroll to become a nurse coach. However, as awesome as that has been, to have nurses invest at that level, because I think it does bring in a certain level. Like when you invest money into something, like it just kind of lifts you up and it increases your engagement. You're like, all right, shit, I'm energetically focused. My attention is on this thing, right? And it's gonna be the same, but I never want that barrier to get in the way, because I do want tens of thousands. I believe that scale of nurse coaches is gonna meet and will be, and I think is the only solution right now. Like there is no second best. There is no second best option inside of healthcare right now. Like, what are you gonna go do? Be like, all due respect to every single specialty inside of nursing, they are all part of this broken model. Nurse coaching is the singularity that stands out amongst the entire field of nursing. It is the only thing that is standing in direct and total opposition to the current broken model of healthcare. And so, but it doesn't matter what specialty you're in, like you can join this. You can still be inside your specialty. You can still be functioning in whatever capacity that you're in, add on nurse coaching to it, and the entire broken model begins to break. It no longer becomes this problem anymore because it dissolves against the new paradigm of nurse coaching. There is no better time. And so my invitation is, what would you say to the nurse sitting on the sidelines? Like the nurse who's been sitting on the sidelines, who's been considering nurse coaching?
I say now's the moment. Now is literally the best moment that there has ever been to enter into this field. And I would ask you very seriously, what are you waiting for? What are you afraid of? And if you do nothing and continue on the same trajectory that you're on, what are things going to look like for you? What are things going to look like for nursing? What are things going to look like for healthcare 6 months, a year, 5 years from now? Because what I can say is that I wish somebody had asked me those questions 3 years before I discovered nurse coaching, so that I could have started on this trajectory even sooner.
The invitation that I want to put out there is to be a part of change, and just to make the simple decision to change and to be a part of that new model of health and healing. Any nurse like listening also to like help us to grow this movement, because 4,000 nurse coaches is an incredible milestone. But if you zoom out and look at the scale of the problem, we need tens of thousands of nurses trained in the art and science of nurse coaching. This path that we have created and just devoted enormous time and energy to, that is now more affordable than anything has ever been. Like when you look at most higher education or most continuing education programs, they leave you in the same place. They leave you tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and they don't end up giving you like what you wanted in the first place. This does the exact opposite, like for just a fraction of the price. And like, what a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to offer. Like for me, it's kind of like the ultimate. It feels really, really good to be able to do this. And so my ask is for, any nurse listening to support us on this mission to just start to break down this old broken model, because I'm personally tired of, like, every time I look at statistics, how they just keep going up and up and up and getting worse and worse and worse. I'm bored with watching that. It makes me mad, but anger has turned into just numbness. I don't want to see that anymore. Instead, I want to focus on the hope, the inspiration, and really supporting our nursing community to rise up and do something differently.
So help us take this momentum. Tell every single nurse that you know that there has literally never been a better moment, because we can't do this alone. That is for dang sure. And 4,000 nurse coaches is a huge milestone, and it's an amazing foundation. But 4,000 nurse coaches can't do it alone either.
Thanks for joining in on this discussion. If you're curious about the brand new version, the brand new iteration of the program, go check it out. and tell all your friends. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.